Drummerly.com Unlimited Drama Series.
The clock on my nightstand glowed 2:47 a.m. when I found myself wide awake, staring at the ceiling of our split-level house in Millfield, Maine. Amanda was snoring softly beside me, her perfectly styled blonde hair spread across the pillow, like she was posing for a magazine shoot even in her sleep. Today now, she was leaving for what she called our family vacation to Florida. Funny thing about family vacations, they usually include the whole family. My name's Jack Sullivan, and I've been fixing heating and cooling systems for 22 years. I know when something's broken, when the parts don't fit together right, when the whole system's about to fail. My marriage had been making strange noises for months. I slipped out of bed and padded downstairs to finish packing Amanda's bags. She'd left them half done naturally, always expecting someone else to clean up her messes. The living room was cluttered with our 15-year-old daughter Emily's art supplies scattered across the coffee table. Watercolor paintings of beach scenes she'd never get to see in person. Emily had cried herself to sleep again. Third night this week, Amanda kept telling her the Florida trip was adults only, which was rich considering Amanda's sister Kelly was going, and Kelly had the emotional maturity of a houseplant. I was folding Amanda's designer swimsuits when I felt something hard in her beach bag's side pocket. A second phone. Not her usual iPhone with the sparkly case, but a cheap Android I'd never seen before. My hands weren't shaking, I don't shake, but my jaw tightened as I powered it on. The messages loaded slowly. Amanda to someone named Brady. Can't wait to finally be free of all the baggage here. Brady's response. Just you, me, and Kelly living it up. No brat to worry about. I scrolled up. Weeks of messages, plans, intimate details I won't repeat. But the one that made my vision go crystal clear was from yesterday. Jack actually thinks this is a family trip. Idiot doesn't realize there's no room for his precious little princess. I set the phone down carefully on the kitchen counter and walked to my toolbox in the garage. Not for any tools, I just needed a moment to think. 20 years of marriage, 18 years of raising Emily together. And Amanda was planning to abandon our daughter like she was disposing of broken furniture. The smart play would be to confront her, demand explanations, beg for counseling. But I've learned something fixing broken systems. Sometimes you can't repair them. Sometimes you have to replace the whole unit. I spent the next 3 hours making phone calls and sending emails. Amazing what you can accomplish at dawn when you're properly motivated. By the time Amanda's alarm went off at 7, I had everything arranged. Morning, sweetheart, I said, handing her coffee in her favorite mug. Ready for our family vacation? She barely looked up from checking her regular phone. I told you, Jack. Emily can't come. We've been over this. Right, no room, I smiled. Don't worry about it, I've got it handled. Something in my tone must have registered because she glanced up. But I was already heading upstairs to wake Emily with the good news. Portland International Airport buzzed with typical morning chaos. Families dragging oversized luggage, business travelers clutching coffee cups like lifelines, and somewhere in the mix, my wife Amanda checking her secret phone while pretending to organize her purse. I still don't understand why you're being so stubborn about this, Amanda said, her voice pitched low but sharp. We stood in the check-in line with Emily bouncing excitedly beside us, finally believing she was going to see the ocean. Stubborn? I adjusted my baseball cap and grinned. I'm just making sure family sticks together. Kelly appeared from the restroom, her bleached hair teased high enough to require its own zip code. She shot me a look that could freeze antifreeze. Jack, you know this trip wasn't planned for kids. Funny thing about plans, I said. Sometimes they change. Amanda's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and her face went pale. Brady, no doubt, wondering why there were suddenly 3 tickets instead of 2 on the reservation I'd modified at 4 this morning. Daddy, is that really the plane we're taking? Emily pointed through the massive windows at a Delta 737 being serviced on the tarmac. That's the one, kiddo. Window seat just like you wanted. Amanda grabbed my arm, her fingernails digging through my flannel shirt. Jack, we need to talk. Privately. Sure thing. Right after we check in. The ticket counter agent, a pleasant woman named Susan according to her name tag, smiled as we approached. Good morning. Traveling somewhere fun today? Family vacation, I said, emphasizing the first word. Sullivan party of 3. Amanda's grip on my arm tightened. Actually, there's been a mistake. It should only be 2 tickets. Susan checked her computer screen. I show 3 passengers. Jack Sullivan, Amanda Sullivan, and Emily Sullivan. Everything looks correct. But I specifically requested, Amanda started. That Emily come along, I finished smoothly. Amanda's been so excited about this mother-daughter bonding time. Haven't you, honey? Emily beamed up at her mother, who looked like she'd swallowed a live fish. The thing is, Amanda said, her voice getting higher, we don't have accommodations for 3 people. Already handled, I said. Upgraded to a suite. My treat. Susan processed our boarding passes with practiced efficiency. You folks are all set. Gate B7, boarding starts in 90 minutes. As we walked away from the counter, Amanda yanked me aside near a coffee shop. Kelly took Emily to look at magazines, shooting nervous glances back at us. What game are you playing? Amanda hissed. No game. Just wanted to make sure our daughter got to spend time with her mother before... I let the sentence hang. Before what? I pulled out her secret phone. Amanda's face went from pale to gray. Before you run off with Brady and leave her behind like yesterday's garbage. She lunged for the phone, but I was already pocketing it. Give that back. Interesting reading. Especially the part where you call Emily baggage and me an idiot. Real family values there, Amanda. You went through my private messages? Private? I laughed, and it wasn't a pleasant sound. Honey, you left this thing sitting in your beach bag like a ticking bomb. If you're going to have an affair, at least be good at it. Amanda looked around frantically, probably hoping Brady would materialize to rescue her. Jack, please, we can work this out. We sure can. Starting with this family vacation you've been planning. I walked back to Emily and Kelly, leaving Amanda standing there like a store mannequin. Emily was flipping through a travel magazine, pointing out all the things she wanted to do in Florida. Can we really go swimming with dolphins, Daddy? We'll see what we can arrange. Kelly sidled up to me, her perfume strong enough to strip paint. Jack, you don't understand the situation here. I understand it perfectly. Amanda made promises to people. Now she gets to keep them. But Brady can expect whatever he wants. Doesn't mean he's going to get it. Amanda rejoined us, her composure somewhat restored, but her hands shaking slightly as she clutched her purse. Fine. Emily can come. But this changes nothing between us, Jack. Wouldn't dream of it. We proceeded to security, where Amanda kept checking her regular phone for messages. Brady was probably having a meltdown about the change in plans. Good. The TSA line moved slowly, giving me time to observe my wife's growing panic. She kept whispering to Kelly, who kept shaking her head and glancing at me nervously. Daddy, Emily said, tugging on my sleeve, Mom seems upset. She's just excited about the trip, sweetheart. Sometimes grown-ups show excitement in funny ways. When we reached the security checkpoint, Amanda made her move. She approached the TSA agent, a stern-looking man with graying temples. Officer, I need to report a problem with my husband, she said loudly enough to draw attention from other travelers. The agent looked up from his computer. What kind of problem, ma'am? He's forcing my daughter and me to travel against our will. Several people in line turned to stare. Emily looked confused and hurt. This was Amanda's play, create a scene, get me detained, proceed with her original plan. I pulled out my phone and opened the voice recording app I'd prepared. Amanda's own voice filled the air. The brat can't come, Brady. I've told Jack 100 times this is adults only. Let him stay home and babysit. Then, Brady's voice. Good. Last thing we need is some teenager cramping our style. This is about us, babe. Amanda again. Jack's too stupid to figure out what's really happening. By the time... When we get back, I'll have the divorce papers ready. He can have the kid. The TSA agent's expression shifted from concern to disgust. Other travelers were pulling out their phones, recording the drama. Emily's face crumpled as she finally understood what she was hearing. "Ma'am," the agent said coldly, "I suggest you proceed through security and work out your family issues elsewhere." Amanda's face flushed red. "That recording could be fake." "Could be," I agreed. "But your daughter knows your voice pretty well. Don't you, Emily?" Emily nodded, tears streaming down her face. Not from sadness now, but from anger. "That's Mom's voice. She really doesn't want me." The crowd's murmur turned hostile. A woman behind us said loudly, "What kind of mother abandons her own child?" Amanda grabbed Emily's arm. "Sweetie, you don't understand." Emily jerked away. "I understand fine. You were going to leave me behind." Kelly tried to salvage the situation. "Emily, your mom just wanted some adult time. With her boyfriend," I added helpfully. The TSA agent waved us through. "Move along, folks. You're holding up the line." As we collected our belongings after the x-ray machines, Amanda pulled me aside one more time. "You think you've won something here?" she whispered furiously. "I think Emily deserves a vacation with her family. All of her family. This isn't over, Jack." I smiled and put my arm around Emily's shoulders. "No, it's not. But you started this game, Amanda. Don't complain about the rules now." We walked toward Gate B7, leaving Amanda to follow behind us like a sulking child. My phone buzzed with a text from my buddy Billy. "Package delivered to Brady's apartment. Enjoy the flight." The game was just beginning. The airplane seats felt like instruments of torture, designed by someone who'd never actually sat in one. Amanda had maneuvered herself into the window seat, probably hoping to ignore Emily and me for the entire flight. Emily sat between us, still processing the revelation about her mother's true feelings. "Daddy, why would Mom say those things?" Emily whispered as the plane taxied toward the runway. "Sometimes people make bad choices when they think nobody's watching," I said, loud enough for Amanda to hear. "The important thing is that we're together now." Amanda stared out the window, her jaw clenched tight. Her phone was in airplane mode, but I could see her typing messages she couldn't send, probably crafting explanations for Brady about why their romantic getaway had turned into an actual family vacation. The flight attendant began the safety demonstration, and I found myself thinking about safety, how we put on our own oxygen masks before helping others, how Amanda had been suffocating our family for months, while I'd been too busy trying to fix everything to notice. "Sir, would you like something to drink?" The flight attendant had reached our row. "Coffee, black." "Emily, what do you want?" "Can I have a Coke?" "Of course." "Amanda?" My wife didn't respond. She was lost in whatever fantasy world she'd constructed where abandoning your daughter was acceptable behavior. "Ma'am," the flight attendant prompted. "Nothing," Amanda said curtly. The flight attendant moved on, but not before giving Amanda a look that suggested she'd heard about the security incident. News travels fast in the service industry. I pulled out my phone and opened the airline's Wi-Fi portal. Expensive, but worth it for what I had planned. The first message I sent was to Billy. "How's the weather back home?" His response came quickly. "Sunny and bright. Your friend Brady's having a rough morning, though. Seems someone left fish in his air vents. Whole apartment building's complaining." I grinned. Billy was a snowplow driver in winter and a handyman in summer. He also owed me 3 favors from the time I'd fixed his truck's heating system for free. 1 favor down, 2 to go. The second message went to my lawyer, Pete Morrison. "Need those documents we discussed ready by Thursday." Pete's reply, "Already in motion. You sure about this course of action?" Never been more sure of anything. Amanda's phone buzzed with what must have been a delayed message from before takeoff. She glanced at it and her face went white. She tried to show the screen to Kelly, who was sitting across the aisle, but the angle was wrong. "Everything okay over there?" I asked innocently. "Fine," Amanda snapped. "You look a little green. Motion sickness?" I said I'm fine. Emily had pulled out her sketchbook and was drawing pictures of dolphins. "Daddy, do you think we'll really see dolphins in Florida?" "I guarantee it, sweetheart. We're going to do everything you've wanted to do." "What about what I want to do?" Amanda finally spoke up. "Well, that depends. What do you want to do?" She couldn't answer honestly without admitting her plans in front of Emily. The trap was elegant in its simplicity. "I want to relax," she said finally. "Perfect. Nothing more relaxing than spending quality time with your daughter." The plane hit some turbulence, and Amanda gripped her armrest. She'd always been a nervous flyer, but today her anxiety seemed to have multiple sources. My phone buzzed with another message, this one from an unknown number. Jack, this is Brady. We need to talk. I showed the message to Amanda, whose face somehow managed to get even paler. I typed back, sorry, don't know any Brady. Must be a wrong number. Don't play games, man. Amanda told me about you. Amanda tells lots of people lots of things. Doesn't make them true. I put the phone away and turned to Emily. Want to see something cool? I opened the airline's entertainment system and navigated to the flight tracker. See this little airplane icon? That's us, flying over Pennsylvania right now. Wow, we're really high up. Higher than your mom's opinion of herself, I muttered. What did you say? Amanda demanded. I said the view from up here is swell. The flight attendant returned with our drinks. Emily immediately started sipping her Coke through the tiny straw, making quiet slurping sounds that would normally annoy Amanda. Today, everything seemed to annoy Amanda.
2 key cards. You asked for 2. Who was the second 4?
My colleague needed a place.
Your colleague who calls you baby in her texts?
Watch more on Grammarly.com.
Amanda. Emily, stop making noise, she snapped. She's just enjoying her drink, I said mildly. She's being disruptive. To who? The other passengers seemed fine with it. Amanda looked around and realized that several nearby passengers were now openly watching our family drama unfold. The woman across the aisle was pretending to read a magazine while obviously listening to every word. People are staring, Amanda hissed. Can't imagine why, I said, taking a sip of my coffee. Must be your natural charisma. My phone buzzed again. Brady, persistent as a telemarketer. Look, I know Amanda's your wife, but she's not happy. Just let her go. I typed back, she's free to go anywhere she wants, after our family vacation. This is ridiculous. She doesn't want to be there with you. Then she shouldn't have bought the tickets. She bought them for me and Kelly. I screenshot his message and saved it to a folder labeled Evidence. Then I turned off my phone's notifications. Brady could type himself into carpal tunnel syndrome for all I cared. Daddy, look! Emily had drawn a picture of 3 stick figures on a beach. That's you, me, and Mom building a sandcastle. Amanda glanced at the drawing and something flickered across her face. Guilt, maybe. Or just annoyance that she was trapped in this situation. It's beautiful, sweetheart, I said. We'll definitely build sandcastles. All of us? I looked directly at Amanda. That depends on whether Mom wants to be part of the family or not. The plane began its descent into Fort Lauderdale, and I felt a sense of satisfaction settle over me like a comfortable blanket. Phase 1 was complete. Amanda was trapped in her own web of lies, Brady was dealing with the aromatic consequences of his poor life choices, and Emily was finally getting the family vacation she deserved. But this was just the beginning. The real fun would start once we landed. The Florida heat hit us like opening an oven door. Amanda wilted immediately, her perfectly styled hair beginning to frizz in the humidity. Emily, on the other hand, practically bounced down the jet bridge, energized by the promise of palm trees and ocean waves. The rental car should be ready, I said, checking my phone as we walked through the terminal. Upgraded us to a convertible. Thought Emily might enjoy the wind in her hair. A convertible? Amanda's voice pitched higher. Jack, that'll ruin my hair. Good thing we're on vacation. Nobody to impress. Kelly caught up with us at baggage claim, dragging her oversized suitcase behind her like a reluctant dog. This is a disaster, she whispered to Amanda, loud enough for me to hear. What's a disaster? Emily asked innocently. Nothing, sweetheart, I said. Kelly's just disappointed that the weather's so nice. Our bags appeared on the carousel, and I made sure to grab Amanda's first. The same beach bag that had contained her secret phone now held the key to her immediate future, or lack thereof. The rental car lot sprawled under the merciless Florida sun. Our convertible was fire engine red, the kind of car that screamed, "Look at me," from 3 counties away. I can't be seen in that thing, Amanda protested. Why not? It's just family. I helped Emily into the back seat and adjusted the mirrors. In the rear view, I could see Amanda frantically typing on her phone, probably trying to explain to Brady why their romantic rendezvous had turned into a family sitcom. The drive to our hotel took us through downtown Fort Lauderdale, past spring breakers and tourists soaking up the sun. Emily pointed excitedly at everything. Street performers, beach volleyball games, a group of dolphins visible from the causeway. Look, Daddy, real dolphins. just like in your drawings. Amanda remained silent, sunglasses hiding her eyes, but not her obvious misery. Kelly kept checking her phone and sighing dramatically. The hotel was a mid-range chain, nothing fancy but clean and comfortable. Certainly not the luxury resort Amanda had been expecting for her romantic getaway. "There's been a mistake," Amanda told the desk clerk, a cheerful young man named Miguel. "We reserved the honeymoon suite." Miguel checked his computer. "I show a family suite reservation for Sullivan. 2 bedrooms, ocean view, balcony. Everything looks correct. But we specifically requested the family suite," I interrupted, "for our family vacation." Miguel handed over the key cards with a smile. "You folks picked a great time to visit. Perfect weather for the beach." Our suite was on the 7th floor, with a view of the Atlantic stretching to the horizon. Emily pressed her face against the sliding glass door, watching the waves roll onto the sand below. "Can we go swimming now, Daddy?" "Let's get unpacked first. Then we'll hit the beach." Amanda and Kelly disappeared into one bedroom for a whispered conference. I could hear fragments through the door. Complete disaster. Have to call him. Find another hotel. I helped Emily unpack her suitcase, hanging up the new swimsuits I'd bought her the week before. She'd grown so much this year, becoming more of a young woman and less of a little girl. Amanda was missing all of it. My phone rang. Billy's name appeared on the screen. "How's paradise?" he asked. "Getting more interesting by the minute." "How are things back home?" "Well, your friend Brady's been busy. Spent the morning at the hardware store buying air fresheners. Lots of air fresheners. Apparently, the fish I left in his vents were particularly aromatic. That's unfortunate. Also had a visit from his landlord about the smell complaints. Seems his lease has a clause about activities that disturb other tenants." I grinned. "You don't say." "Oh, and Jack? That other thing you asked me to handle? Consider it done." "Perfect. I owe you dinner when I get back." "Make it a steak dinner and we're even." I hung up as Amanda emerged from the bedroom, her face flushed with anger or heat or both. "Jack, we need to talk." "Sure. Emily, want to check out the hotel pool while Mom and I chat?" "Can I really?" "Take the key card. We'll meet you down there in a few minutes." Emily grabbed her towel and practically flew out the door. Kelly followed, muttering something about needing a drink. Amanda waited until they were gone, then turned on me like a cornered animal. "What do you want?" "Want? I want my wife to enjoy her family vacation." "Cut the act, Jack. You've ruined everything." Brady's furious. "The hotel reservation is wrong, and now I'm stuck here with your husband and daughter. Yeah, it's terrible. You know what I mean." "I know exactly what you mean. You mean you'd rather be here with Brady, making Kelly play third wheel while you pretend your daughter doesn't exist." Amanda's composure cracked. "Emily would have been fine at home. She's 15, not 5. Right. Just abandon her for a week while you play house with your boyfriend." "It's not like that." "Then what is it like, Amanda? Explain it to me." She couldn't, or wouldn't. Instead, she grabbed her purse and headed for the door. "Where are you going?" "To find a bar. This conversation is over." "The conversation's just getting started. But go ahead. Run away. It's what you do best." She slammed the door hard enough to rattle the pictures on the wall. I walked out onto the balcony and looked down at the pool area. Emily was already in the water, swimming laps with the determination of someone trying to outrun her problems. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown Florida number. "This is Brady. Meet me at the Tiki Bar on A1A, 1 hour." I typed back, "Can't. Family obligations." "Stop hiding behind your kid. We're going to settle this." "Already settled. Enjoy your fish-scented apartment." I put the phone away and grabbed my swim trunks. Brady could wait at that bar until the next ice age, for all I cared. I had a daughter to spend time with and a wife to keep an eye on. But as I headed down to the pool, I couldn't shake the feeling that Amanda and Brady weren't going to give up this easily. They'd made their plans, and people like them didn't handle disappointment well. The real confrontation was coming. I could feel it building like a summer storm on the horizon. The tiki bar sat on the beach like a postcard cliché, complete with palm fronds and reggae music drifting from hidden speakers. I'd left Emily safely at the hotel with a stack of room service menus and strict instructions to deadbolt the door. Amanda hadn't returned from her earlier storming off, which suited me fine. Brady Cole looked exactly like I'd expected. 30-something, artificially tanned, wearing a polo shirt that probably cost more than my monthly truck payment. He sat at the far end of the bar, nursing what appeared to be his third or fourth beer, judging by the empties lined up like soldiers. "You must be Jack," he said as I approached. His voice carried that particular brand of arrogance that comes from never having been properly punched in the mouth. "And you must be the guy who thinks my wife comes without baggage." Brady's face flushed. "Look, this doesn't have to get ugly. Amanda's not happy with you. Hasn't been for months. Just let her go." I ordered a beer from the bartender, a weathered local who looked like he'd seen this exact conversation play out 1,000 times before. "Interesting theory. Tell me, Brady, what makes you think I'm keeping her prisoner?" She told me about the airport, how you forced her to bring the kid. The kid has a name. Emily. She's 15 years old, and she's Amanda's daughter. Look, I get it. Divorce is messy, but dragging a teenager into adult problems isn't fair to anyone. I took a long sip of my beer and studied Brady's face. Weak chin, soft hands, the kind of guy who'd never worked a day of manual labor in his life. "You're right about one thing," I said finally. "Dragging Emily into adult problems isn't fair, which is why I'm handling this situation myself." "What situation?" I pulled out my phone and opened the photo gallery. The first image showed Brady's apartment building with a hazmat truck parked outside. The second showed his landlord posting an eviction notice on his door. "Seems like you're having some housing issues." Brady's face went white. "You did that? You're insane." "I'm thorough. See, when someone threatens my family, I tend to take it personally. I never threatened anyone." "Really?" "Because planning to help my wife abandon our daughter feels pretty threatening to me." The bartender moved discreetly to the other end of the bar, probably sensing the conversation was heading somewhere he didn't want to be involved in. "Amanda's a grown woman," Brady said, his voice rising. "She can make her own choices." "Absolutely. And she chose to marry me and have a child. Funny how she forgot to mention that when she was planning your little romantic getaway. She's going to leave you anyway, with or without me. Maybe. But she's going to do it the right way, through lawyers and courts and custody agreements. Not by sneaking off in the middle of the night like some teenager running away from home." Brady finished his beer and signaled for another. His hands were shaking slightly. "You can't control her forever." "I'm not trying to control her. I'm just making sure she faces the consequences of her choices." "What consequences?" I smiled and opened another photo on my phone. This one showed Amanda's office building. "Well, for starters, her boss, Mrs. Henderson, received some interesting audio files this morning. Turns out insurance companies don't appreciate employees who lie about family emergencies to get time off for affairs." Brady's mouth fell open. "You sent her boss those recordings?" "I sent her boss the truth. What she does with that information is up to her. Amanda could lose her job. Amanda could have thought about that before she decided to betray her family." My phone buzzed with a text message. "Amanda, where are you? Emily says you left." I typed back, "Having a beer with your boyfriend. Want to join us?" The response came quickly. "Stay away from him." I showed Brady the message. "Looks like she's concerned about you." "This is crazy. You're crazy." "I'm a lot of things, Brady, but crazy isn't one of them. Angry, yeah. Disappointed, absolutely. But everything I've done has been completely rational." "Rational? You put fish in my air conditioning." "I didn't put anything anywhere. I was on an airplane, remember? Though I do have friends who believe in helping out when family's threatened." Brady stood up abruptly, swaying slightly from the beer. "I'm calling the police." "And telling them what? That you're having an affair with a married woman and someone played a prank on you? Good luck with that." He sat back down, deflated. "Here's what's going to happen, Brady. You're going to finish your beer, go back to whatever hole you crawled out of, and stay away from my family. Permanently." "And if I don't?" I leaned closer, close enough to smell the desperation on him. "Then you'll discover that fish in the air vents was just the opening act. I've got friends all over the state, Brady. Friends who drive trucks, friends who work construction, friends who know how to make life very uncomfortable for people who threaten families. You're threatening me. I'm educating you. There's a difference. My phone rang. Emily's name on the screen. Hey, sweetheart, everything okay? Daddy, Mom came back and she's really upset. She's throwing things around and yelling at Kelly. I'll be right there. Lock yourself in your room until I get back, okay? Okay, Daddy, are you and Mom going to get divorced? The question hit me like a punch to the chest. We'll talk about it when I get back. I love you, Emily. I love you too. I hung up and threw a 20 on the bar. Brady was staring at his beer like it held the answers to all of life's problems. That was my daughter, I said. The baggage you and Amanda were so eager to get rid of. She's scared and confused because her mother decided her own happiness was more important than her child's well-being. Jack, save it. You made your choice when you decided to help Amanda abandon her daughter. Now you get to live with the consequences. I started to leave, then turned back. Oh, and Brady? If I see you anywhere near my family again, the fish thing is going to seem like a love letter. Are we clear? He nodded miserably. Good. Enjoy the rest of your vacation. I walked out into the Florida night, leaving Brady alone with his beer and his regrets. The real confrontation was waiting for me back at the hotel, where Amanda was probably spinning some story about how I was the villain in this mess. But Emily was waiting too. And for her, I'd face down a dozen Amandas and 100 Bradys. The game was almost over. Time for the final move.